Welcome to the Hangout with Penny Show. This is episode 76 of the Hangout with Penny Show, and usually we are a Friday night show. But tonight I have a very special guest. I'll wait till you meet him. So this is part one of part two. Part two will be next Friday. So it's only Thursday for tonight because, hey, we celebrate the Victoria weekend this weekend, and Friday I'll be away. So I thought, you know what? Let's do a special show. And wait till you meet my guest co-host tonight. He is awesome. Oh, there he is. So for those of you that have been watching the Hangout with Penny Show and making me a habit for the last 75 episodes, thank you very much. And for those of you, maybe this is the first time you're coming across watching me live or possibly watching the recording, all my shows are recorded. And if you want to receive them to your inbox, all you have to do is go to hangoutwithpenny.com, and right there on my front home page, there's a place where you can sign up, and I will send you the link to the live show as well as then the link to the recording. So you can watch it at your leisure, because many of my viewers, I'm a global show, so many of my viewers right now, it's like 3 o'clock in the morning over in Greece, and it's 2 o'clock in the afternoon over in New Zealand. So you're either having coffee with me or you're having wine. So for many of you that know that one of my favorite things to do is to introduce you to the wine of the week. However, I've had a busy day and I'm really thirsty today. So, you know, I'm going to cheers you all with a nice glass of, what am I drinking? Iced tea. I usually drink wine. Iced tea. So cheers to everybody. Thank you for joining me tonight. So before we carry on, I'm going to read to you from last week what people were saying. Here we go with my lights again. All right, let's go. Episode 75. It was what was I thinking? So Valerie, she sent me an email. She says, "Hi Penny, glad that you're back. I enjoyed the show, but I was wondering, why was the show shorter than before?" Thank you for asking me that. I actually had a couple people ask me why my show was shorter, and that was because if you had watched maybe the show prior to that, I got booted off a couple of times. And then the next week, I didn't even have a show because I didn't have a computer because it decided it was going to go on a vacation. Well, permanent. So I had to get a new one. Well, I didn't get a new one. I had a laptop. So the reason my show was short is because I wanted to make sure, because I didn't know when my computer was going to shut down. And because I was alone, I wanted to make sure that I was able to stop the broadcast. Otherwise, it would be kind of dragged on. So that's why that show was shorter. So typically, my shows are 30 minutes if you're watching. So tonight will be about 30 minutes. I don't know. Brian likes to talk, so you might want to go about 45. But typically, my shows are 30 minutes. That's the odd time we All right, so she also says, "I always look forward to Friday night. So much fun. Thanks for hanging in there, and happy Mother's Day." So thank you, Valerie. Tana, she's watching right now because she said, "Ready for a great show with Moscato in hand." Tana, you deserve that. Have a nice, relaxing drink and enjoy the show. And she says, "Wow, another spot-on show." That was episode 75, and the title was, "What Was I Thinking?" Actually, I think I talked a little bit about my computer problems. So she says, "Wow, another spot on show, Penny. You always deliver the perfect message at the perfect time. I needed this one. What we think is so powerful and always creating our reality." And my co-host tonight, he is going to explain more about this. So it's good that we know. "Even when it's just casual, mindless thought, it's still attracting experiences that match it." You know what? That's an important point because the universe can't take a joke either. It doesn't know we're joking. So we really have to be careful what we say. And she said, "Thank you. Congrats on your new computer and the promotion. And glad you're doing Friday shows when you can. Thanks." Monique Jackson, she said, "Hi, Penny. Great episode on how you can trace every result back to a thought. Love your reminder that behind every complaint is a request. So what am I requesting? Congrats on attracting a promotion." Thank you, Monique. Luelle Ann Falsheim, she says, "Penny Peddie, watching the replay because I have a regular commitment on Friday evening. Good to remember that life is just happens when we need to learn to live it in the moment and respond positively. I wonder if worry is just a bad habit. That's a good point. That is such a good point. I've been experimenting with affirmations each night prior to sleep. Seems to have the desired effect. Awesome. Thank you. And I'll just read a couple more. Linda Gannon. Hi, Linda. She says, thanks for the reminder. Paola from Italy. Thank you, Paola. She says, hi, Penny. Thank you for the tips. Many blessings. And I'll read one more from Harris T. He's from Greece. And he says, I used to do that a lot in the past. My thinking used to be catastrophic and negative. Not anymore, thanks to you, Penny and Michael Auger. Thank you for the reminder. I love these shows. Awareness is key when it comes to worrying and negative thinking, I believe. And once you're aware of it, you can shift it. Thank you, Penny! Exclamation mark, exclamation mark. So remember, everybody, I love your comments, so please keep commenting. If you have a question of any kind, ask away. I'm just going to go here, and we have Don Boehm. Hi, Don. By the way, Don, that is a great photo of you. Hi, Penny. Looking forward to hanging out and seeing you again. My allowing doors are wide open. Good job. Linda Vaudeville. Whoa, Linda, I hope I got that name right. And she says, hi, Penny. Looking forward to tonight's show. Great topic. Deborah O'Rourke. Hi, Deborah. She's from Wasaga Beach here, and she says cheers. All right, everybody. Just a reminder, I also have a Google Plus community. Penny's all. There you go. It is a community where we're not hanging out here, we're hanging out there, and I have some videos in there. One of my guests have a complimentary book in there for you, 50 lessons you learned on this path to peace and tranquility. Did I just say that like that? Anyway, yeah, so go out and join my community and you get all that for free. And I have 7 tips to greater abundance over there. Anyway, you know what? The star of the show, let's bring him on because this guy is amazing, and he's just one great guy. So, Brian, please come out, introduce yourself, tell people where you're from, and what do you do?
Well, thank you, Penny. Thank you so much for having me on your show. And I'm from Lakeville, Nova Scotia, so out in the Atlantic part of Canada. And I'm a life coach, and I focus on personal empowerment coaching using law of attraction principles and practices. And I also have written this book, Higher Vibrations for Health, Happiness, and Harmony. And you may have seen it because Penny has done a nice job. When I sent her a copy, she so graciously put a very nice note and video together for that. So thank you very much for that. And the book is really became the premise of my coaching, and we'll discuss a little bit more as we go through our discussion here, Penny.
Awesome. Thank you, Brian. How Brian and I met is we belonged to a health coaching program together, and it was a year-long program, and we were together a couple times a week by phone. And it was quite an intense, long process, speaking of processes. And at that time, I was also studying to be a law of attraction trainer. And Brian and I just kind of hooked up, and we started having our own conversations weekly on our own. And we would talk about law of attraction and manifestations. And we got to know each other really well. And we've just continued that friendship. And during that time, Brian, he would write, we had a newsletter for this program we're in, and he would write articles for this newsletter. And this guy was so brilliant with the metaphors and how he could explain situations using metaphors, so it made it really easy for us to understand. And I remember saying to him, Brian, you need to write a book. You need to write a book. You need to write a book. And he's like, well, I'm in the process. I'm in the process. You need to write a book. And I said to him, Brian, one day you're going to be on stage with that book, and I'm going to be with you. So here we are. See how that works? I just want to make one more thing, and then Brian, I want you to come out and tell us how that book did come to life, because I know it's been a lifelong learning and lifelong lessons for you to get you a published author. But I just wanted to say, what did I want to say? I lost the thought. Anyway, okay, Brian. So I know that you've always have been curious about how things work. So is that what led you to write this book? What led you to write the book? Are you with me, Brian? Or am I with you? Okay. If somebody's watching live right now, can you come out and say who you can see, whether it's Brian or whether it's me? I don't know who's froze. Oh boy. So anybody watching live right now, can you please comment?
I'm back.
Okay. I'm asking people to comment because I didn't know who was froze, you or me. All right. And you're back. I see you in stereo. We've got twice as much now. Okay, Brian, come on back.
All right, here I am. So sorry, Penny, I lost where you last left off, so just catch me up here.
Okay, so I was just asking, you've always been, all through your life, you've been curious about how things work. So how did that lead up, that curiosity, how did that lead up to where you are now and you becoming a published author?
Well, it was interesting, Penny, as I was sort of sitting down and thinking about our discussion tonight, and I collected a few things over my life that really came together and sort of led to this book and this whole idea of life coaching, and particularly in empowerment and the whole idea of the concepts around the law of attraction. So it was interesting. I just always interested. Always, why did things happen? What was the cause and effect of things? Just everything was always like that. And anytime I found out anything, I'd always love to share it with people, and just help other people, be on that sort of discovery channel of, hey, this is how that works, right? And so carried on as a theme that carries on for me to today. As I started to grow through life, some other thing in high school, I worked in a drugstore, and I seen the amount of, obviously, the prescriptions that went through, and a lot of people living on, dependent on prescriptions. It seemed that way. A lot of that was going on, and I won't say I gave it a lot of thought, but I did think, what's with that? I mean, our human body, we should be able to sort of sustain ourselves. But anyway, I never thought much more than that. And then, of course, my first wife died of cancer in her mid-20s, and that lit a fire under me, Penny, like I cannot tell you, that I had to know. And something inside me said, there's a reason for this. The medical community, conventional, non-conventional, if you want, threw everything at it, and there was nothing that was going to help there. And so I said, there's got to be something behind this. Surely we are not just walking around in random events and somebody's going to tell us how something is going to happen in our life and it's going to change everything, and we have nothing to do with that. It didn't make sense to me. And so I said, that's it. I'm going to go on a search here, and I'm going to find out what this whole cause and effect thing is. And what's interesting is I sort of unraveled it, and I found out, well, what is behind the whole health and wellness thing? The same principles apply to everything, to relationships, to job satisfaction, you name it. The same thing applied to everything. And so, I carried on, and I read, and I sort of became more and more aware. I looked at different programs, different perspectives, more information of, sort of, these self-help and self-discovery. And I just sort of went everywhere I could to find everything I could to try to understand, okay, when this happens, what's behind that? Why does that happen to this person? Why does that happen to this person, right? So I got more and more sort of, involved in that. And then, in the earlier 2000s, a company I was working with at the time, they brought in a coach to more or less teach emotional intelligence at a corporate level. But this whole idea of coaching and emotional intelligence, it started to gel with other things that I was looking at. I thought, coaching, that's the skill set I need, right? And so I connected. We, as you mentioned earlier, we connected in that coaching program. And so now all of a sudden, I've got this inquisitive mind to understand what happens. I've got a tremendous motivation to really, help people, because when I went through that piece earlier in my life with my wife, and I just thought, I don't want to ever see that happen to anyone again. If I can help one person, only one person, for the rest of my life, avoid that and get rid of that kind of thing, that it would be worth every hour I could spend on it. And it certainly was and is. And so I've got the inquisitive mind, I've got the motivation, now I've got these coaching skills from this program. And after that program, then I further looked into energy. Then I started really to home in on, what is this energy, law of attraction, how does this all fit in? And so then I got my certification in a energy healing modality called the emotion code. Mm-hmm. And that gave me a lot of insight, additional insight into everything is energy, and everything manifests from energy. And if we allow energy to flow in its natural course, then health and wellness can flow, because it lives within us. And it's not that we have to get it, it's after we just have to learn how to get out of the way of it.
That's right.
And how do we do that? Well, of course, it's the resistance, it's the negativity that we throw on the road that kind of creates the resistance for us. But that's true if we want a relationship or a job. If we're in a feeling of a thing that we don't want, so things maybe not the way we want them to be, and so we focus on them, and we allow those things to consume our thoughts. Well, that vibration is not equal to the frequency of the thing that we want. And so this is the thing to understand about energy, that we need to get to the same frequency, and that's the law of attraction. The attraction happens when the frequencies are equal. And so whatever we're attracting, what we know is that's the frequency we have going on. So the other thing, and those are all the elements that made me say, okay, this is I need to start now to put this together, because now I'm coaching people, I'm getting their stories, I'm seeing what's going on, I'm thinking, well, geez, I can only touch so many people.
Yeah.
I can only touch so many people, and I want to touch millions of people. And so what I need to do is I need to put together everything I learned, things I've learned from people I've worked with, from all the material, the programs I've covered, everything I put together, and I put it into a program which is within the book that helps people on a daily basis, that can help people. It's a self-study type program that people can go on a daily basis and say, okay, what am I doing today? How do I do this? How do I wake up in the morning? Where do I start? And when things start to go, how do I change them? What are the things that I need to do to make a change in my frequency to start attracting more of what I want? So I put this together in a book, which, and then it's kind of like anything when you're learning anything, whether it's guitar or learning to fly an airplane. I mean, having an instructor or a coach or a trainer or a teacher, it always helps the process. I can do coaching as much or as little as a person wants, but any other coach that knows the program can also be somebody that a person could work with as well. So it opens the door for almost endless possibilities of the number of people that could be touched by the program. So that was a big motivating factor as well, to be able to touch so many people. And then one of the last factors was I've seen so many programs, and I've seen so many books, and there was always a question in my mind that, why does this program or that program or this book or that book, why does it work for that person, but it doesn't work for that person? Mm-hmm. Or maybe there's nothing that works, no person. I've seen that, I've seen some of that as well. And so I thought, well, there's got to be a common denominator. Because if program A works for a certain amount of people and program B works, and we're all energy, and we all have the same faculties, and we can all attract. We all have that within us. What is the common denominator? So again, I wanted to sort of capture that, and in this book and in this program, it's unique in that sense that no matter who goes through it, they're going to build a toolbox, and they're going to build it so that they can help to train themselves into being a master of their vibration. But no two toolboxes are going to look the same, because all of us are unique, and what is appealing to one of us, what feels good to one of us, what makes us feel good, is not going to necessarily be the same for somebody else. And so that's how the book really sort of came to be.
It's an amazing, and I love the book, and I love to interject because you do have this book as a training and as a program, and it's 20 weeks. I believe it's 20 weeks, isn't it?
It is 20 weeks.
Yeah, and here is the important thing I want to mention, is because many times, okay, so we have a book. We read the book and we're like, okay, I get this. Probably 2 days later, there's nothing left, because you don't have the tools in the book to work with, where you, in this book, you've guided us step by step, question by question, day by day. And then I like how you have, like, how was at the end, like, do a check off as you're like, what did you like about today, or things like that. So each day that it's all about vibration. So we have a daily check-in, because it's really important, because like you said, one person can think of something totally different than another. So it's important for each of us individually have our own check-in to see, like you said, what felt good today and what, So it's a really wonderful program, but it's all about a practice, because everything is energy, and we want to raise our energy up. And the more we can be in the energy of what we're learning, these programs, the higher we can raise our energy ourselves. And the frequency then raises, so then we attract more of what it is we desire. I just want to say, Brian, Linda Gannon, and she says it's 10 a.m. in Australia, and she's looking forward to the show, and she says, hi, Brian, Penny.
Oh, hello.
And shout out to all my loyal watchers that were saying, we can see you, Penny, we can see you. So, but Brian's back. So, yeah, so I was really impressed with I was so impressed with your book, but I knew you before you wrote the book, so I knew what to expect. So you delivered what I expected.
Well, Penny, I'm glad you mentioned about how each week goes along, because the thing is like you say, a lot of times, and I see a lot of this too, and I've done it myself, is that you read a book and you say, oh boy, that's great information. It feels good to read it. It makes sense, and you think, wow, I'm going to go out and do this. But then the book goes on the shelf, and then it's maybe not practiced so much, right? But it's like learning anything. If you go to school for anything you want to learn, you take on the knowledge, you practice the knowledge, you make mistakes, you make corrections, you learn, you keep taking it higher, you keep practicing. It's not, you don't put it on the shelf, you use it, you have to apply it. The knowledge must be applied. And so that's why it's designed where not only do you read a certain amount of material every day, and again, it's set up in small pieces so that it's sort of doable. I know everybody's got busy, lives, and they got things to attend to, so I wanted to set it up so that it was, something that could be done in small pieces. And it can be done weekly. It could be 1 week, could be done over 2 weeks. So whatever fits. But what's important is the consistency, the day-by-day monitoring about, well, where was I today? What kind of thoughts was I choosing today? What did the feedback in my world tell me about where my thoughts are, my vibration is, right? And so you got the reading material, but then you got to answer questions, a way of making you think about what you read and help you to sort of solidify that a bit more. And then there's exercises that, again, you do each day, and that further helps you to practice living in a high vibration, being aware of when you're not, and what can you do when you're not. When you're sort of falling down, how do you get yourself back up again, right? Rather than spending half a day, an hour, 2 days, whatever, in a low vibration all the while. That's like sending out the request to the universe. That it's like saying, I know people don't think about it, but it's like saying, bring me more. That's the law of attraction. whatever goes out, it comes back, right? And the longer we hold, it's like a snowball going downhill. It just goes faster and it gets bigger. And the bigger it gets, the faster it goes. So if we point it on the negative side, we got all this negative momentum going. And then all these things start showing up and we say, what the heck, what's going on? I don't want that stuff. And it's true, consciously we don't want it, but subconsciously, or not subconsciously, in our vibration, because of the way we're unaware of talking to ourselves and maybe being engaged in conversations, we are doing that. But we can just as much roll that snowball on the positive side of the hill and collect all kinds of positive momentum and start attracting those things that we really do want. So it really is a case of studying, understanding, and applying it and getting it to work for you. Hey, we know it's always at work. There's not a moment the law of attraction stops and says, I'm going to take a break. So it's in action in every moment. It's just up to us. Are we choosing the way we want it to work for us, or are we choosing things that are making it work against us?
Brian, you just reminded me of the times we would spend on the phone each week, just you and I. And one of the things was we were like law of attraction buddies. And so, you know, anybody watching, it's a really powerful thing to have a law of attraction buddy, two people that are on the same page, they're learning and understanding that this is a universal law, there's vibration of frequency. But one of the things that we did each time was like, okay, so what did you attract last week? And oh my gosh, I would get on the phone and Brian, he'd be laughing right away because he was so excited, wanted to tell me things that he attracted. Like he was right into motocross and he would get all this stuff for free and oh my gosh, it was just so. And when you can do that, you raise the vibration. So it's so important to be able to either have the book and go back, or have a buddy, somebody that you can raise your own vibrations with. Lots of times. Actually, I had a lady come into the store the other day, and she got some wine, and she's like, yeah, we're having a girls' night. We're going to just lay back and drink some wine and gossip. I'm like, you want to hope it's all good.
Yeah.
Because, you know, if you're gossiping about somebody and it's not so good, it's going to come back to you. So anyway, hey, Brian, Kathy Caldwell, she says, hi, Brian. Hi, Penny. So hi, Kathleen.
Hello.
She was another one that was in our health coaching class, and oh my gosh, we got each other through that year-long program as well. So Brian, I would like you, because everything that we do, we're in the process right now of hosting a Hangout show. You're in the process, anybody out there right now, of watching. Everything is in process. Our thoughts are a process. And so many times when we have a desire and a dream, we forget that it's in the process. And so then we start keeping track of that it's not here yet. Well, that's an energy in itself. So the more we're keeping track that it's not here, that's what you're going to get. That's the frequency that you're on, is not here. And so you could be angry, you could be disappointed, but these are all levels of emotion that work up to this process of attraction. And Brian, next week in part 2, you have a perfect diagram that you're going to share with us and tell us. Could you share a little bit more about that?
Yeah, absolutely, Penny. So as you were saying, we all have desires in life. There's things that we want to experience, and it's quite easy if we sit here even now and we close our eyes and just allow ourselves the freedom to imagine those things that feel good to us, that we would like to have, whether it be in a job or a relationship or material wealth, a health item, anything. We all have desires. And so that desire carries a frequency, and it's a frequency of feel good. And feel good is joy and happy and peace and these are all high vibrations. So that's where it kind of lives, a vibration. It's high, it's up there. So when we feel that desire, it's in our mind. It's not in our hands yet. So as you were saying, Penny, if we look at it, our hand is empty, and we think, oh my goodness, it's not here. When's it going to come? or there's a disappointment. Is it ever going to come? And all these kinds of questions start to enter our mind. And the next thing you know, those frequencies are very low frequencies, disappointment, sadness, you know, you name it. As you go down the scale, those frequencies don't match the desire. So you can't get there from there. You can't go from low to get to high. You have to be high and match. Now, here's the thing that a lot of people have to understand with the law of attraction. It's not necessary. Things can manifest quite quickly, but a lot of times there's a process. There's a journey. Life is a journey, and it's just like a flower coming out on a plant. You know, sometimes it takes a while for that bud to blossom into a beautiful flower. Well, it's in the process. It doesn't mean the flower's not coming because it didn't blossom today. It does not mean at all that that flower's not coming. We know that flower's coming. And if we had such confidence about our dreams coming, we would be much more relaxed and let the process take place and enjoy the journey along the way. But we get kind of impatient sometimes, and maybe we get a little bit of afraid or insecure, and these are all the low vibrations that keep us from manifesting that desire. So what I want to talk about next week is, you know, just demonstrating that and showing what we need to do to get up to the level, and then have the confidence and the trust and the faith to allow that manifestation to start to move towards us as we move towards it. And then at a certain point, like that flower comes open and we see the flower. One day we're face to face with what was a dream once in our mind. It's now in our hand. And that's what we're going to talk about.
I know. And you know, another thing that's really important, what you just said, is then one day all of a sudden the flower opens and our dream is in our hand. So how was the journey along the way? Did you spend 4 years worrying about it and believing that it was never going to come, and then just kind of over time your vibration, and then all of a sudden it showed up? It seemed like all this, or did you just trust the process? Trust the process that everything has its gestation period. Everything has its time. So like you said, that flower didn't just open. So we can just be patient and just enjoy, because it's all about vibration. And many, many, many times, I bet you, Brian, you can attest to this, that when you get that desire, it's way better than you ever imagined.
Absolutely. Yeah, it sure is. And so that's the magic. The magic is holding yourself in the feeling. And that, again, that's all part of what's in my book, is how do you, here's the thing, is how do you go about your day so all of a sudden you're thinking, okay, I'd like to have this thing in my life, whatever it is, you pick it. But then you think, well, you can't sit in a chair all day and be visualizing and affirming, because you got a life to live. You got a job to go to. You may have family responsibilities. All kinds of things are happening. So how do you stay in that high vibration? You're not visualizing that desire. You've got other things on your mind. So how do you have those other things on your mind but still be in a high vibration? Because that's what you got to do. No matter where you are in your day, you got to find a way to keep that vibration up. That's what keeps the manifestation coming towards you. And that's the magic of it all. How do I live my life every day to keep that vibration up and keep those attractions coming?
I just want to share a story. I did a seminar a couple of years back, and one of the ladies, she said she attracted her now husband to her door, because she would say, I am going to meet the man I'm going to marry. He's going to come to our front door. And she kept saying that. And he did. Her parents had some kind of business, right? And knock on the door. It was her future husband. So we can't, so whether you're on the couch, what are you thinking about when you're on the couch? You still need to be proactive. Like, she still carried on with her life, but she just kept saying, my husband is going to knock on that door. And it happened. So what do you want to believe for yourself? What kind of magic? Now that's magic, right? What kind of magic do you want to happen in your life? Brian, I love this with you tonight.
Yeah.
We're just getting started. Okay, everybody, you have been watching episode 76 of the Hangout with Penny Show with my guest co-host, Brian Withers from Nova Scotia.
Yeah.
I love that. And he's going to be back with us next Friday for part 2, where he has a diagram for us. So we're going to do some screen sharing, and he's going to go through the process with us and showing us the different stages. Right? When you get on an airplane, like I like to travel, so when I get into the airport, there's a process and there's a time span from the time I go to the airport to the time I get to the other airport, say in Hawaii. So there's a process that we have to go through. So it's the same as our dreams and desires. Like, all right, we're here. We want to get to there. And so Brian's going to show us where we are. I mean, maybe you're in a position right now that you don't even realize. And when he shows us this diagram and on the different levels that we can be and what we need to do to put ourselves up higher into the frequency, because the frequencies have to match. And so that's going to be next week. So Brian, do you have any final words for our viewers before we say goodnight?
Well, I'm very happy to be here with you, Penny, and have the opportunity to share all this great information. It's an exciting time, I think. I mean, we've seen how it's more and more people are accepting and that energy is the way of life. It's part of who we are, and we do have the power to choose our thoughts. Our thoughts generate our emotions and our feelings, and that's our vibration, and that is what comes back to us. So we are in the driver's seat of life. We just need to learn how to drive that car.
Brian, you did an awesome job. So I just want to tell you, everybody, that a couple of weeks ago, Brian says, I think I'd like to know how to do those hangouts. So we did one training session. I said, Brian, you know what? I think you're ready. So we kind of just like threw him in here, and you did absolutely amazing, Brian. You are a natural, and I am so honored to know you and call you friend. And you know what? There's still so many people watching. It's like, I don't want to say goodbye. Because it's a very interesting conversation, and I know you have such wonderful insights to share with us. But you know what? We're going to continue next week. So Brian, thank you very much. And I look forward to us spending time again with our viewers next week. So thank you, everybody. And we will say goodnight for this Thursday night on episode 76 of the Hangout with Penny Show. And we'll see you next week. Bye, everybody. Say bye, Brian.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Okay, everybody. Bye-bye. See you next week.